Welcome to the Half-Blood Report.
Here we dive deep into recently on news, upcoming present book, questions only Zeus knows the answers to, and all other things writing. I'm Samuel, your co-host.
And I'm Diego, your other co-host.
So let's jump into the demigod news.
Alright, so there was a new trivia on Reed Riordan, and Sam,
So it was basically Camp Jupiter. How much do you know about sort of the Roman military and where its location and sort of current stuff about it? And so it was just kind of cool to test our knowledge. We both got Praetor.
Yes, we are quite the nerds. In case you couldn't tell from the fact that we run a Rick Riordan podcast.
Yeah, Praetor was the highest rank you could get on the quiz, and then we sort of played around and tested all the different combinations.
Yeah, so you could get Probatio, Centurion, and then finally Praetor,
which is what we got. So yeah. If you got Probatio, that means you got the worst. If you got Centurion,
shame on you.
If you got Centurion, that means you're in the middle. And Praetor, like us, it means you're a nerd. And so that was kind of interesting. It's kind of a slow week for the demigod news, it being the holiday season and all.
Yeah.
But it was really funny because it actually came out the same day that our last episode dropped, and I was like, oh, we should have talked about it. But we record these a couple of days in advance, so we didn't have the time.
Yeah.
But it's now a week old, but we did get a this is pretty interesting. We got a video of Rick interviewing Rebecca Roanhorse of course, author of Race to the Sun.
Which, if you guys don't know, it's coming out January the 14th.
Yeah, and so, of course, that's next Rick Riordan Presents book on Navajo mythology. And I'm pretty sure Rick Riordan has done this so far with all the Rick Riordan Presents authors. I maybe he didn't do it with Roshani Chokshi, but I'm pretty sure he's so far done it with each Rick Riordan Presents author, and he definitely did it this time. And so basically it just asking questions about the book and sort of her giving us hints about what's going to happen and what we're going to meet.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a lot of new clues for us to kind of play around with, but nothing really big.
Yeah, we didn't get any huge hints. I think kind of the biggest reveal about what's actually going to happen in the book is we learned a bit more about the character Davery, who before had only gotten a mention in the description. So we learned a bit more about him, how he's half black, half Navajo. We learned about how he kind of keeps the main character Nizini in check, and kind of just how he's sort of I guess the guy who always wants to follow the rules. You know who I thought about while listening about Davery?
Who?
So I actually, it being the holiday season, in school we got to vote on what movie to watch, what holiday movie.
Oh.
I voted for A Muppet's Christmas Carol.
Oh, that's not too bad.
But because Kermit. What won was The Polar Express, and I'd actually never seen The Polar Express, so I was like, okay. And so if you've ever seen
I hate it.
If you've ever seen The Polar Express, there's this moment where there's this blonde kid with glasses who talks like this, and he's like, oh my god. And so he's this huge nerd, and he's like, standard train procedures.
I wanted to throw him out the Polar Express.
And I just
let the polar bears eat him. Well, you didn't hear that, folks. That cut that, Sam.
But that was what that kid reminded me of. How that's I think Davery will probably be a bit less annoying than that, but for some reason I just immediately thought of the annoying kid from Polar Express.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if Rebecca can pull that off, seeing as we already have Zoni's brother, who's also a big nerd, and I think gamer or something like that.
Yeah, so, and also him being a little brother character and it being from the Zoni's point of view, he's probably going to be described as annoying, him just, having the sibling relationship, which we kind of talked about previously. But, so I don't think we're going to have, two annoying characters. I think Davery is going to be described as less annoying and more sort of just,
Yeah, I think Davery might be Wind Spirit, which, if you haven't listened to our previous episodes, kind of discussing theories about that, make sure to do that. I think we discussed it episode 9 and 5 or 6.
I think it was 5, 9. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
5 and 9, 5 and 9, something like that. Yeah, but definitely make sure to check out our old episodes. But Wind Spirit was kind of like the third character who played a major role in the Hero Twins kind of myth. Was Wind Spirit, who kind of was an advisor to both of them and kind of showed them which ways to go, what to do, what not to do. He was kind of just like lingering in the back, kind of correcting them. And I think from what we've heard of Davery, we could definitely make sure to look out for him as Wind Spirit or Wind's child.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That's a really good point, Diego. I hadn't really thought that he was going to be more of a power character and just more of like a fun sidekick. But that's probably a good theory that he has some sort of power of his own that we're going to find out about. So you want to
Maybe that, or maybe still just like in the background, kind of directing them as to like correcting them, as she said, like holding her back at certain moments, as Rebecca said in her interview.
I think it might be a bit awkward if like every character finds out a power. I'm reminded of sort of Aru Shah. I love Aru Shah, but there's a moment that kind of it's just not my favorite part of the book where Aru and Minnie, they're both like, and you're both claimed at the same time by different gods, and now you're both finding out your powers at the same time, and like compete for like who can find out their power in the more interesting way. And it's just that is like I feel it's more interesting when the side characters kind of already know what they're good at and kind of already have their stuff figured out, and it's left for the main character to come into their own, sort of like the Lightning Thief, where Annabeth already knows what she's good at, Grover already knows what he's good at.
Same with Magnus.
So that's why I think that it might be a bit more difficult for like we're already having Mac and Izoni finding out their powers at the same time, and so I think adding a third layer to that might make it just a bit less interesting.
Yeah. Do you want to move on?
Demigodathon is pretty much here when you guys are listening. It'll be the 29th. And it's almost here as we are recording. And so, just a reminder, Demigodathon is a read-along where each week throughout January, the fandom will be reading a different Percy Jackson book.
Yeah, so from December 29th to January 4th, we're reading The Lightning Thief.
Yeah, and so considering Demigodathon is coming up, I thought it would be cool for us to sort of introduce a new section just this sort of a couple of weeks related to Demigodathon and sort of discuss today what we're looking forward to when rereading The Lightning Thief and actually rereading the whole Percy Jackson Olympian series throughout January.
Yeah, so kind of like a reorder and review, but more like Demigodathon focused.
Yeah, and this is kind of going to be different because we're sort of talking about what we're looking forward to after not having actually read it in a couple. And well, we're going to be rereading it in a couple of days. So, Diego, what do you like sort of remember about the Lightning Thief that made you like it?
Things that I remember from the Lightning Thief are the scene in Krusty's where they kind of get all stretched out. Because I got really scared as a younger version of me, like three or 4 years back.
That's a very memorable scene.
Yeah. Where they get pulled, and I was like, oh no, they're not gonna make it. Or at least one of them's gonna die. But they all made it out fine. Another scene that I found really interesting is where like a gang of kids in LA like pulls up and like they try to like. A gang of kids in LA pulls up and they try to like mug the three of them, and then Percy like whips out a sword, but it's actually a gun, and then they all run. And I thought that was like the most not PG part of like the entire book.
I don't remember him pulling out them thinking it's a gun.
Yeah, because they go like, oh no, he's got a gun.
I don't think they say that. I think that's your memory.
It might be, but still, that was the best part.
No, they do think that Percy has a gun when after looking after his fight with Ares. They think he is again, so it might be involving them. I have read it. I think I probably read it more recently to you because I read it like right before the summer. Um, it's funny because I'm reading the series.
I read it 2 months ago.
Yeah, so I was reading. I've been reading the series to my sister. And we're actually about to finish The Last Olympian.
No.
So it's really funny that I'm going to be immediately finishing The Last Olympian and then going back to the Lightning Thief and rereading the series again. That's kind of, I just and
It's gonna be painful, but then again, it's Rick Riordan and it's Percy Jackson, and we love that sort of stuff. I mean, we wouldn't be here if we didn't.
yeah. Yeah. So, what do you think about The Lightning Thief is probably going to be more painful to read? Like just seeing how Rick has improved in his writing in small ways. And so, what do you think rereading The Lightning Thief might be sort of painful to read? Also, like with like future context.
I think he's become a little bit more politically correct in his writing as it follows along. But maybe just overall, like as a whole. Another thing is that it's gonna be sad to like see characters that we know that they die, and then like having them like appear, and then we kind of just, have a big empty hole in our hearts because they don't make it. And also like knowing about things like in advance, seeing that like Percy and Annabeth are like gonna get together in the end.
Yeah, I agree. It's good. Some sort of how I think it's still very well written. Like it's not too painful to like say, oh my god, they're gonna end up. Just do it already. Like by the time you get to the battle of the labyrinth and the
that's painful.
That is kind of awkward, especially when Rick is like, is he gonna go for Rachel or Annabeth? We're like, I think it's pretty obvious he's gonna go for Annabeth. And like Rick's like, but I'm gonna trick you, right? And so
he should have gone with Rachel, honestly.
Are you team Rachel? Jeez, I'm gonna have a new coast. Like Radio Camp Half Blood, they talk about how they're team Rachel, and I'm like, oh.
Rachel's the best. I don't know what you're talking about.
Diego, there are a lot of like hardcore Annabeth fans who will come to your house with knives.
Yeah, sorry about that, folks. What do you mean? Annabeth's the best. I love her.
No,
she sucks. What? Did you say that? Was that you, Sam? Sam, that was Sam, not me.
So. I think like in the Lightning Thief, it's set up fine. Their fighting is kind of cute in a way. I don't think it's going to be too annoying to reread that relationship building as it is annoying to read the Rachel, Annabeth, Percy fake love triangle in the final two books. No, I do think it's going to be interesting to reread Grover's parts because Grover is just such a fun character. And his role is just diminished more and more as the books go on. Because he has some good roles in the Lightning Thief, and he becomes a lesser role in the Sea of Monsters, but then he comes back again in Titan's Curse. In the Battle of the Labyrinth, he's there, but he's also his screen time is taken. Not screen time. His page time or whatever is sort of stolen a bit by Tyson and a lot of other stuff. And also there's parts where Grover isn't with Percy. And then The Last Olympian, it's so action-packed and there's just so much that Grover's parts are very, not few, but just sort of crunched up.
Yeah, not memorable.
Like
he fell asleep for like 50% of it.
No, not that much. But and then there's also like.
What do you mean? He was asleep for like 2 months.
But that was before the book started.
Okay, yeah, but like.
See, we do need to reread these books, but and Grover and then Heroes of Olympus, he's almost non-existent in Titans. In Trials of Apollo, we only get him in one book, and that's still fun. But his role in that book isn't as huge as it was even in the Lightning Thief. And so that's why I'm just so excited to go back and reread Grover just being Grover. And he's, I think just Grover is a big reason why the Lightning Thief was a success, like sort of mirroring that golden trio from Harry Potter. And I'm excited to reread Grover being Grover.
Yeah, definitely. He kind of like.
And
dies.
it's also like before he gets super depressed about Pan, like in the Titan's Curse and Battle of the Labyrinth.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah, he's such a great character. Why wasn't he he wasn't at all like in the Heroes of Olympus.
because he can't be one of the 7 half-bloods because he's not a half-blood.
Yeah, but Coach Hedge is pointless. Should have had Grover.
Yeah, I want to know how the Heroes of Olympus.
We're putting up a poll on Twitter: Grover or Coach Hedge.
Yeah,
If you don't vote Grover, then I don't know.
well, no, I love Coach Hedge. He's just so funny. He's the best comic relief, especially since the Heroes of Olympus can get kind of dark at times. And
Grover was better.
especially since not everybody's perspective in Heroes of Olympus is like the funny character. Like Jason isn't the one to crack a joke when he's having
Leo is.
Yeah, when he's having inner monologue, and so that's why I think Coach Hedge was sort of important to have as comic relief. But I do think that there is an argument for Grover taking the place that Coach Hedge took in the book, and but I don't know. Yeah, we'll ask the fans. So, I think we got kind of gone on
on a tangent.
Yeah. So, but that's some of the things I'm looking forward to. I think there's a lot of sort of suspense built about who Percy's father is.
Yeah.
And that is kind of not the best to reread when you're like
when you already know the answer. It's kind of like, oh yeah, it's this guy.
But the hints that are given there, it is fun to reread. Because last time I read the Lightning Thief, it's fun to like point out, oh, he's good at the canoe, like, and he's like, I don't know what sort of superpower being good with canoeing is. I'm like, you're a son of Poseidon, oh my gosh. Rick Riordan does throw in hints throughout the first 3 chapters, like him dousing Nancy Boba Fett, and so
yeah.
I think it just
and him getting that fresh like burst of energy from drinking water when he fought Luke.
Yeah, and
in
so
the sword arena.
All those things are just fun to there at some points they can be like, oh my gosh, he planned out his book so well, but at other points they're like, I get it. Tell us that he's the son of Poseidon. What do you think?
Yeah. I don't know if there's definitely a lot of other things to say. I just can't seem to think of them.
And we'll probably have a lot more to say after we've actually reread it.
Yeah. Definitely be looking forward to some more Demigodathon sections in the weeks to come.
So make sure throughout December 29th, which if you're listening to this the day it came out would be today, through January 5th to reread The Lightning Thief. And follow along with Demigodathon. You can actually follow Demigodathon on Twitter, and they're actually doing a lot more on it than we are, but we are following along with them, and we're doing similar stuff. And so I think I'm actually pretty grateful for them doing this for the community, but also giving our podcast something to talk about when the Demigod news is kind of slow over this holiday season.
Yeah, definitely. So okay. With that, I think it's time to Odin and Athena.
So as we have said in this section, we propose a question related to Riordan to contemplate.
And what's this week's question, Samuel?
All right. So I saw this on the Percy Jackson fan Discord, and I'm stealing it. I forget who said it, but if you are listening, I'm sorry. But I'm sure we're not the first people to think about this, but sort of, what do you think would have changed about the Lightning Thief's success if it were from Annabeth's perspective?
Oh. Whoa. I don't know. We definitely wouldn't have the kind of like big role of a mother. Percy Jackson's mom plays like a giant role. Kind of like a very like background role, but at the same time like very meaningful throughout the entire story. And we kind of like get that feeling a lot like with our own mothers. And I think that was very important, and of course it made the mothers want to buy it for the children even more. Which is definitely a bonus. But I feel like that element would have been completely lost had it been written from Annabeth's point of view.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I feel that the plot is easy enough at first glance to manipulate so Annabeth is the hero. Like, she could have been looking for her dad, and maybe because she was there at the winter solstice visit, Zeus thought it was her who would be the only person smart enough to steal it. And then she picks the new guy at camp to come with her on the quest because he seemed pretty good, and he's like the child of one of the big three. And so I think it, like, and then maybe
Yeah,
she would.
if you guys haven't seen the Lightning Thief musical, there's a you can listen to it on Spotify, but or whatever it is that you listen to music to. But there's a great like song from their track like called My Grand Plan. And I feel like that definitely embodies an aspect of Annabeth that like we don't see in the actual books. I don't know. But oh yeah, you can write it like using that idea, you could write it from her perspective.
Yeah, and then like maybe her being such good friends with Luke, she would have like picked him for the quest instead of Grover, and that would have like made like Luke like have a bigger role as a like he would have been able to do more stuff as a villain, and but then you sort of think about it like Annabeth didn't have as close of a connection with her dad, so she probably wouldn't have wanted to save him that badly, and then maybe like so she would have just like Percy had this big conflict like, do I help my dad out who's never done anything for me, or do I like
What do you mean?
but save like he was like I can save the universe, but then I'm like helping my dad and just doing a quest for him, and he's never done anything for me. So that's like a big theme of the book.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, and then he's like, and then I'm not even getting my mom back. And so that was what sort of Hades kind of tempted him with when he asked for the lightning bolt, and he.
Well, no, that's the entire reason he goes on the quest, because he's gonna get his mom back.
Yeah, that was like him sort of thinking about, hey, I can save my mom.
Yeah.
And so that it was a big thing, and then Hades even tempts him with it. But Annabeth, that wouldn't have even been an issue, and so that's like it would have made her a better hero for the book. But would it have made the book more interesting? Would it have made it sell more? I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. It'd definitely be a completely different book.
Another thing is, and then also Percy, like Luke would probably. Like, Percy would almost be pushed aside to a side character, if you think about it, like, sort of Grover. Not to call Grover a side character or anything, but you do have to admit that Annabeth and Percy are the main characters of the Lightning Thief. But, so yeah, sort of just Percy would almost take the more Groverish role of the sort of the third in the trio. Another thing is, I think what made the Lightning Thief so popular is Percy's just sort of down to earth, popular kid humor, and I don't think Annabeth has that.
Definitely not.
And I think just
she's a way harder person to understand.
and then the narrative I feel would have just almost gotten like filled up with like tangents, about like Annabeth, like, oh my gosh, that architecture is so amazing at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and then she'd be like, just read. I think
also we wouldn't get the whole like school like a big aspect that also like I feel like related to me a lot was like the scenes in school where like you see a character that like is the same as that you can like identify with because like they go to school too and they go through the same issues that you do at school, though.
Yeah, because
of course they're monsters, but Annabeth isn't going to school, so I feel like we would miss out on that a lot.
Yeah, Annabeth would start right off at Camp Half-Blood. In the first page, we'd learn that she's a daughter of Athena, stuff like that.
Yeah. Also, Annabeth's a nerd and does well like at everything, so I feel like it's a lot easier to like relate to a character who's less perfect in a sense.
Also, Annabeth knows the answer to anything. A good thing about Percy as a narrator is that him being stupid allows us to learn stuff.
Yeah.
Like him, like I guess
Percy's stupidity is the key to his humor.
I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but like I think one of my favorite Percy being Percy moments is in the Son of Neptune when they talk about the Feast of Fortuna, and then Percy, and so the characters would just be talking about it, and we as readers would not know. But because Percy is like silly, and he's like, "What do you mean, a feast for tuna?"
Yeah.
Not only is that
great
a
moment.
laugh out loud, oh my gosh, Percy is so stupid moment. It's also it allows the characters explain to Percy what the Feast of Fortuna is, so we as the readers who are secretly as stupid as Percy find out what they're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Sam, but
You didn't need Annabeth to explain anything to
Yeah,
you
yeah.
throughout the entire series.
I feel like we've gone on a big tangent this episode.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the Lightning Thief, and I guess that's kind of because we're looking forward to it. We took up 2 sections with it, and then next week we'll probably talk about it as much because we'll just have read it.
Yeah.
But we'll have a different perspective, having it fresh in our memory. So that's why you should listen. I don't know. Is that it, Diego?
Yeah. I think that's it for this episode of the Half-Blood Report. Samuel, how can I contact this podcast?
You can tweet us with compliments, questions, corrections, or suggestions at Half Report on Twitter. You can also find us on Instagram at The Half-Blood Report, or email us at our website at our thehalfbloodreport.com.
That said, it's time for credits. Our theme music is actually by me.
I do most of our editing, and our recording equipment is on loan from William Bachman.
My co-host here is Samuel, and I'm Diego.
This is the Half-Blood Report podcast, the only HBR that matters. Survive till next week.